So a question that I got from one of my students is, how do I make something that blends into the skin tone? Now you might be able to see on here in the middle part of the screen, there's this plane that's kind of floating above my head. And you can actually see it if you kind of look carefully just here. Now what I'm going to do is just make it a little bit bigger, just so that you can see it. I'm going to make it a touch bigger. And what you can see on my forehead right now is a plane. So what we're going to talk about in this video, should be a quick video, how we actually make something with the same skin tone. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a brand new project from scratch. Again, I like to make a blank project just so we can talk about what is going on in here. So once I've got this, I'll make it a little bit bigger. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in a face tracker. So I'm going to right click and add a face tracker. Now on this face tracker, what do I want to put in here? Well, let's add a plane. So a plane, as we can see, is in front of our face. And if I just turn on my video, what we should see here over my face is this checkboard. Now what we want to do is place this on the forehead. Now how do we do this? I'm going to click plane, and actions will let me place on face onto my forehead. There we go. Now the patch editor has popped up here with some actual logic. So it says on the face finder, let's select the first face, which is my face, and the face that we have here, we want to pick the forehead, and the center of the forehead is going to be this plane's position. Now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't kind of fill my face and you can see my eyes. So I'm going to make this something like 0.2, 0.2, and 0.2. And it's a little square currently on my head. Now what I want to do is make this little thing here kind of blend into my forehead itself. So I'm going to make a new material in here. It's called material 0. It could be called skin material or something like that. Let's call it skin material. So skin material, there we go. Maybe forehead material could be a better explanation because it's just on the forehead, maybe not my beard. So what we want to do here is turn it to a flat material. So it's currently white. Now of course what I could do is pick the color and actually get this and kind of go, well now it's this color, but this is obviously different on different skin tones. So I'm fairly pale and white, so it might be a different color for different people. So how do we go about measuring this? Now what we can do is use the face texture to say, well, somewhere on my face obviously is a texture, and we could use this in different places like a face mask, for instance, but we can also use this and pick certain points on that texture to say, well, let's blend this in. So how do we go about doing this? Well, the first thing we want to do is get my face out of this face tracker. So I'm going to click face tracker and extract my face from the face tracker. So I'm going to click plus here, and this gives us a brand new texture we can use. Now I'm just going to open up the patch editor a little bit bigger, zoom in up here. Now what we want to do from here is basically say this color of this skin material is basically going to be replaced by a texture. So I'm going to click this arrow. This should be white, by the way, just keep it as white because we're going to change it with the texture. And instead, this color that we want to put in here should be matched into the face texture somehow. Now if I drag face texture in, and basically connect these two at the moment, what we should see is a little face on my forehead. Now, of course, I can make this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make it 0.4 and 0.4, 0.4, which looks fairly strange. There's two of me actually doing this, but you can see here, even if I move around, this is trying to map my face into a square. Now, as you can see, if I turn my head, it's still trying to map the same places. Like my eyes are always in the same place, even though I'm kind of turning my head. Now, what we can do here is use some of the face assets that Facebook gives us that kind of look something like this to basically work out where we want to measure from. Now, I want to measure from around here. So let's measure where this actually is. I'm just going to draw a quick circle. We kind of want to measure this area here. That's a little gray area. Now, what we can do is kind of work out where this is across the page. So this is roughly 50% across and about 25% down if we take the whole frame and just do some division. So we can say that around this area is the color that we want to pick. So back to Spark AR. What we can do between here is rather than just pick all of this texture being everywhere on this plane, instead we're just going to right click and do a texture sampler. So the first thing we're going to do is connect this up into here. Now this UV is basically U and V basically going across and down. Now the reason it's UV and not XY is it could be on a circle, it could be on a cylinder, it could be on different shapes, so it might not be X, Y, and Z in the same way, but this is a flat texture in some way. Now we want to basically put the coordinates of the thing we want to sample. Now what we want to sample is, again, based on Figma, we want to sample this particular area. So I'm going to pick this being about 50% across and 25% down. So back into Spark AL, I'm going to type in the number. Across is 0.5 and the Y direction 0.2, maybe 0.25, let's put in there. So now what we can do is basically pick this color between these two instead, and we'll get this kind of blended approach. Now at the moment we've just done one tiny sample in here, which is exactly at this point of my head. You can see my skin getting darker as my hand goes over. So what we want to do is actually sample in a few different places. So what we can actually start to do is have two texture samplers, slightly different areas so they can blend together. So I like to do this rather than just one sample, let's do a few. So texture sampler in here, what I'm going to do is the same thing, going to drag it in. And maybe this is 0.5 as well, and maybe a little bit off, maybe not 25, but maybe 0.26%, so 0.26. Now, of course, if I connect this one to this one, it kind of looks the same, but let's blend them together. Let's mix them together. So I'm going to right click and type in mix in here. I'm going to take this color, put it in the first one, the second color into the second one, and the alpha, we kind of want to do 50-50 of both. So this is going to be 0.5. And now I'm going to drag this in and we should get some blended approach. Now again, if I make this a little bit smaller, something like 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, you can see it's pretty much blended in. Now, of course, the big part of this is to try it with different textures and different skin tones. So again, a big part of this is to try it with different people. Let's try it out. Kind of looks like it's blended in to all these different skin tones. So as we start to do this, of course, the more samples that we do, the more likely you are to do this. So again, I might actually want to add some more in here. So last thing that I'm going to do is copy and paste, and I'm going to take this down here. Maybe I want to go a little bit across. So maybe rather than 0.5, maybe 0.48, and that way. So this is slightly over to the left. And again, what I can do is then mix this color, which is here, and mix these two, which is here, together as well. So I'm going to mix 4 colors together in the same way. I'm going to take this color into this color, halfway between the two, 0.5, and put it in here. So again, the more that we do these mixing, we're actually sampling 4 points rather than 2 or 1. We're more likely to get this blended approach. So what we can do here is by just adding these different sample points within the texture itself, based on my face, it looks like it's blended in pretty nicely.